My name is Brian Waldron, and in this video I'm going to be breaking down exactly what I would do if I was starting from scratch all over again to get back to a seven-figure CEO. For those who don't know me, I did over $3.5 million by the age of 26 in my events-based business, and I essentially want to break down where we started and essentially where we're going and what we do if I was starting all over again. So like I mentioned, my name is Brian Waldron. I'm from Brooklyn, New York. I was born and raised in Brooklyn. My parents were immigrants. They came from this country from Guyana. I wouldn't say that we were poor or anything. That's not like some kind of like rags to riches story or anything like that, but we definitely didn't have like everything growing up. But one thing I always loved is that my mom always made sure that I was comfortable. I'm an only child. I grew up with a single mom, and the best memories that we had was always just kind of like holidays. She always made Christmas special. She always made birthday special. And these are the things that I just really remember the most. I started off I always loved entrepreneurship. I remember I made my first $20 selling Yu-Gi-Oh cards for the youngins who don't remember Yu-Gi-Oh. But I made my first $20 selling Yu-Gi-Oh cards on the bus at like 12 years old. And I remember literally doing that, and I was just like, oh shoot, like I like this making money. And back then, like over 10, 15 years ago, $20 is a lot of money to a 12-year-old kid, right? So literally I remember going home telling my mom like, yo, I made $20 today. And she was like, what are you doing over there? Obviously any parent would be skeptical, right? So literally I get my entire deck of cards and I just bring it to school and I just start wheeling and dealing and selling cards every single day for like 2 weeks. And that was just like literally my first taste of money. After that, I learned about competition, and then other kids started bringing their cards, and then it just kind of became supply and demand and all this other stuff, right? So that's when I learned about having a pivot. So I remember about being 13 in school and started selling candy. I seen some kids selling candy on the street and I was just like, hold on, I could do that too. And literally I went to BJ's, took all the money that I made from cards, went to BJ's, and I bought like Sour Patch, I bought like Snickers, Twix, all these different things, and I started selling them in school. Damn near almost got suspended, so I couldn't sell candy in school anymore. And then at that point, I started just selling on the street. I remember selling in front of my local Pathmark. I don't even think Pathmark is still in business, but I remember started selling candy in front of Pathmark, and eventually I would make like $50 a day, $100 a day, $150 a day. And I was just like, yo, like entrepreneurship is the one for me. This is probably, I'm like 13, 14, 15 years old, and literally I'm just making this kind of money from just selling candy and things like that. And I just learned like, you know what, I want more. So around this time is when I start really getting into sneakers. So at that time when I was in high school, Jordans were like a really big thing. All the hot releases, people would camp out and stuff like that. But I never had the money to go ahead and buy these sneakers. And my mom, she was never gonna buy these sneakers for me. It's like, what, $150 for a pair of sneakers? Like, no way. So at that time, I'm just kind of like, yo, you know, if I want to get these sneakers, I'm gonna have to get them on my own. So I took all my sneaker money, and there was this pair of sneakers that was releasing called Wolf Grey 5s. This was my first pair of Jordans that I ever got. And literally what I did was I saved up all my money from selling sneakers, whatever the case may be. I walked into the Jordan store, and it wasn't like a super hot release or anything like that. So I was able to actually walk into the store and actually get it. So I walked in the store, bought the pair of Wolf Grey 5s. I had like a little $15 coupon on the Nike app or something like that, and I was able to get them for $135. I'm like, whoa, I got my first pair of sneakers. I wore those pair of sneakers probably every single day as a sophomore in high school. Fast forward to like, all right, cool, I want another pair of sneakers. I want to get another one. And I save up, and I'm able to get my second pair of Jordans, True Blue 3, right? And I'm just like, yo, like I'm thinking I'm fly, I'm thinking I'm hot and everything like that. And eventually I'm like, yo, I want another pair of sneakers, but I'm tapped out at this point. I didn't have enough money to get this going or whatever the case may be. So at that point, I learned about the used market, and there was these Facebook groups called Buying and Selling Sneakers NYC, Buying and Selling Sneakers Queens, Buying and Selling Sneakers Brooklyn. And I'm just like, yo, all right, cool. Let me see if I could trade it. And I post it, and I'm just like, yo, looking for fire red 5s. I got these two pairs of sneakers for trade. And eventually a guy hits me back up. He's just like, yo, I'll trade with you, add a little bit of cash, whatever, we good. Cool. This time I've had my first meetup. Go meet up with him at the mall or whatever the case may be. Boom, trade sneakers. Now I'm like, I got my first pair of fire red 5s. Boom. All right, bet, I'm in business. Cool. Wear my pair of fire red 5s. I'm chilling. I'm in school. I'm thinking I'm all fly and everything like that. At this time, I get my first job too. I'm started working at a clothing store called American Eagle. And then at this point, I'm just like, yo, let me see if I could get another pair of sneakers. And eventually, I trade my pair of sneakers and he adds cash on top. So I'm just like, hold on, wait, I just made some profit. And then at this point, I realized, yo, this selling sneakers, this buying and selling sneakers, this is a real business. So at this point, I'm just like, all right, cool. I'm buying and selling sneakers every single day, every single day. I'm doing meetups. And then eventually I run into this kid. I meet this kid named Jafir. Now Jafir was a hustler. He was probably like 2-3 years older than me or whatever the case may be. He's a hustler and he does this as a business. So what he would do is he would literally like buy you sneakers, clean them up a little bit, and then sell them up for profit. And I'm like, yo, I could do that too. Eventually I start taking all the money that I'm making from sneakers. I'm buying used sneakers, selling selling them for profit. And then literally I'm like 16 years old making $500 to $1,000 a week. Now to a 16-year-old, this is crazy money. At this point, I'm making crazy bread. I'm going to school with like most fire sneakers. People's like, yo, they breaking their necks. They're like, yo, he has Bread 11s. Yo, he has Cool Gray 11s. Yo, he has Yeezys. I had everything, with the Dornbachers, every pair of sneakers or whatever the case may be. Now, fast forward, I'm in college. I'm probably around like 17, 18 at this time, still making money with sneakers. And my mom looks at me one time and she's just kind of like, don't you think you're getting a little old for that? And I remember just kind of like sinking. And I'm just like, yo, like maybe she's kind of right. Like maybe I should get a real job. And it didn't really click to me that like I could go and level up, get a sneaker store, whatever the case may be. But at that time, I just kind of like, I'm taking mom's advice and I'm just like, you know what, maybe I should like lock in, get a real job. Start working at this management company. I'm in college at the time. I'm not making a whole bunch of money, but I'm just in it for like the experience. So eventually at this point, what I go ahead and do, I'm just working my little job, but eventually I'm just like, yo, this is not it. So I hear about this Italian restaurant that's hiring in my city. At this time, I was going to Baruch College. It was in the city in Lower Manhattan, and I started working at this restaurant in Lower Manhattan. So now I'm making probably like a couple $100 a week. I'm like, yo, this is not it. I'm doing hosting at the host stand. I'm like, man, this is crazy. I start seeing the servers are making like a band, 2 bands a week. I'm like, yo, I need to be a server. I need to get back to that. Talk to my manager. He's just like, yo, can't really make you a server right now. You're not experienced. You don't have enough experience. I'm just like, man, bump this. I'm gonna go ahead to another restaurant. I'm gonna make me a server. I go to another restaurant in Long Island. I become a server there. Literally, I'm making like $1,500 a week serving. I'm like, oh, this is lit. So I'm making money serving. Eventually I get my first car. I'm thinking I'm hot. I'm thinking I'm lit. But of course, like, I just want to get to the next level. Like, I know I'm an entrepreneur. I want to get back to being an entrepreneur. I want to get to that next level. I see an event space in my neighborhood and literally I'm just like, yo, can I work for y'all? Like, I'm just trying to get a little bit more, make a little bit more money, whatever the case may be. Start working there for a couple hours a week, whatever the case may be. I see somebody walk in, paid like $500 for a couple hours, owner not even there. I'm like, whoa, I need this. The light bulb went off in my head. I'm just like, yo, I'm gonna literally save up all my money for like a year, cash out my own event space. Literally in a year, saved up $30,000, got my own event space. And then at that point, it's just up. I'm gonna talk about literally, I didn't make no money for the first couple months, but the third month I made 15 bands. I'm just like, whoa, this is crazy. So like I mentioned, the point of this video is I really want to talk about up until that point where I got my first event space and then eventually we were able to grow it to Mannequin, the #1 event space consultant company in the country, and just kind of have over 400 clients. Now at this point, what I want to go ahead and do is I just want to talk about what I would do differently from that whole story and then what I could do to go ahead and get to the next level even faster. The #1 thing that I would do a lot differently is I would learn about credit and business funding a lot faster. My first event space, like I mentioned, I used my own money to get that off the ground, and it wasn't until I got my second space where I learned a little bit more about credit and funding so I can turn around and get that off the ground. If I was doing this all over again, I definitely would have structured my credit profile to get a lot more funding and use that to get more event spaces a lot quicker, and I definitely would have been able to scale up and do even way more, probably do $3 million my first year if I was able to really start and scale like that. That's the biggest thing that I would do, which is why I always encourage people like, yo, if you are trying to start a business, get your credit right, learn about business funding and foundation. I made a whole video breaking down that whole process and whatnot, and you could utilize that instead of having to use your own money. Because think about it like this, I would rather lose somebody else's money than lose mine, respectfully. The second thing that I would definitely do in terms of starting all over from scratch again is I would definitely learn effective time management, right? There's a video that by Ryan Serhant. He's a really, really big realtor in New York City, and he talks about how billionaires look at time differently. Now, one of the biggest things that I would do that I remember that I was doing wrong for my event space business is that I was doing a lot of the, dare I say, lackey work, right? I was cleaning my venue, I was doing all the open houses, I was doing all the inquiries, and I essentially was going ahead and doing a lot of work that I should have outsourced a lot sooner. So if I was doing it all over again, I would have learned about SOPs, which are standard operating procedures. I would have learned about hierarchy and management. I would have learned how to be a more effective hiring manager. I would have learned how to put together a better team. And I know for a fact that if I did that, I would have been able to scale BK event spaces a lot quicker and get to the point where we were able to get just a lot sooner. The third thing that I would definitely super focus on, that I wish I was super focused on, is I'd be focusing on team and product a lot more early on and getting my reps in. One of the biggest things that I learned from Mannequin now is that team and product are what really make big businesses. You can have great marketing skills, you can have great sales skills, whatever the case may be, that helps. But if you have truly a great product and you have really, really smart people on your team, you will be able to take your company a lot faster, a lot bigger, a lot sooner. So with that being said, I would definitely learn about hiring. I would learn about SOPs. I would get into a lot masterminds a lot sooner. I didn't know about digital marketing, this whole space, for years. I was off social media. So with that being said, if I learned about how to make a better and better and better product, I mean, who knows? Maybe I would have went into mannequin a lot sooner. Maybe I wouldn't have opened all the venues that I got. Maybe I would have gotten into the consulting a lot sooner because I would have learned about that space. Team and product are super, super important for building a big business, and just understanding and knowing that, I know for a fact I would have been able to build my business a lot sooner and a lot bigger. Guys, for those who don't know, like I mentioned, my name is Brian Waldron. I make these videos just to showcase the event space world, help other people open up their event space a lot sooner, and of course, just get onto their entrepreneurial journey a lot sooner. Again, if you are interested and you do love this content, definitely make sure you tap in, subscribe, like, drop a comment with any other videos that you'd love to see in the future. In the meantime, let's get it. Let's go.